What's going on, everyone? I'm Evan.
And I'm Megan.
And this is 2 Up Travels. If you don't know us or what we're doing, we're riding our motorcycle down the Alaskan Highway. We started in Oregon and we rode all the way up to Alaska and we came back down. Something like, it was a long ways.
Yeah.
But anyway, in this video, we're going to tell you 5 things we wish we knew before we went up there on our motorcycle.
3 things that we wish we would have done differently.
And then at the end, we're going to give you 1 bonus tip if you're planning on riding your motorcycle up to Alaska. Let's get it going. When you're taking the Alaskan Highway up to Alaska, the roads can definitely get kind of crappy the farther north you go. We're talking snow heaves, which if you're not sure what snow heaves are, it's essentially when the snow jacks up the pavement and you get these massive dips out of nowhere, which can be surprising if you're on a motorcycle or a car.
Yeah.
You get huge potholes, you get cracks in the road. I mean, you have road work everywhere. We experienced a lot of road work.
Lots of road work.
So dirt, gravel, things like that. And if it's been raining or if they have like a truck going in front of them or behind them, and putting down water to keep the dust down, it can get pretty muddy. So be aware of that if you're going to be heading up to Alaska on the Alaskan Highway.
Number 2 is how expensive things are up north. So the further north we got, we realized that everything just got more pricey. Gas was about $7 a gallon up north. Food and lodging got a lot more expensive as well, and it's just because it's such a rural area. Things are just more expensive to get up there and man those things as well.
Pack accordingly. And when we say pack accordingly, we mean just because it's the summertime and you're going to Alaska doesn't mean it's always going to be warm. We regularly were riding through and sleeping in like 45, 50 degree weather with rain, and there's storms. I mean, you need to be prepared for that. So make sure you have good rain gear. I highly recommend bringing some sort of bug face net thing for 2 reasons. The first reason being, if you are on a motorcycle and you do hit road work and you want to lift up your visor, if there are a lot of mosquitoes around, those mosquitoes are gonna go right into your helmet. So it's really nice if you have a bug net that you keep in your tank bag or in your motorcycle jacket pocket, and you can put it over the top of your helmet and then you can lift your visor and not get eaten by bugs. It's also really nice when you're setting up camp at the end of the day because there are bugs.
So many mosquitoes.
Everywhere. Yeah, and then we also used Bug Shield. It is a clothing brand, I suppose, that specializes in anti-bug long sleeve wear, which again, I highly recommend if you want to have quality of living in your camping in northern Canada and Alaska.
Yes.
So
you can find a lot of free camping in Canada. Anywhere that's a provincial park typically has free camping, and so you can look that up online. We also used iOverlander, which is an app in which other people put where they got free or cheap camping sites on there. So if you're ever looking for free or cheap camping, you can download the iOverlander app. We found it super, super helpful. And just know that Canada is really great for accommodating camping, and it's gorgeous outside, so camping is really fun.
we heard from everybody while we were heading up north that we were going to see tons of wildlife. Bears, moose, caribou, deer, I mean, the gambit, right? They told us we were gonna see it everywhere. In reality, we saw nothing.
We saw a porcupine.
We saw a porcupine and we saw a moose go off the side of the road like 200 feet in front of us. And that was for the entire trip all the way up to Alaska until we got to Denali and we saw a caribou.
It was so sad.
That was it. We saw nothing else. So it's, you know, take it as you will. If you're afraid of bears, that might be a good thing for you to show up a little bit later in the year.
Yeah.
But if you're going up there specifically to see wildlife, recommend heading up a little bit earlier. We left
mid-July.
And what we heard, it was a little too late to see wildlife up there. So can't speak for the winter, don't know about any other time. Later in the season, we have found from our experience and from talking to people, there is less wildlife to be seen.
Yep.
Okay, so that was the 5 things we thought you should know before heading up there. Now we're gonna move on to the 3 things we wish we would have done differently before and during and after riding our motorcycle up to Alaska.
I wish we had more time to explore these areas. Obviously, Canada is huge, Alaska is huge, so you really just need a solid couple months to really give that area justice. We could have spent, a long time up there.
You could stop every like 50 to 100 miles and explore something new. So the more time you can give yourself, the better. We obviously are doing a little bit differently because we're headed down all the way to Argentina and we're going through Mexico, and we have a limited budget and a timeline in a sense, but if we could do it over, we would dedicate like 3 months or more just to exploring northern Canada and Alaska.
You could really make that its own trip, just like British Columbia, Yukon, and Alaska, just like a whole condensed couple months.
We wish we would have left earlier because we might have been able to catch slightly better weather, although that's not really for certain because it's just a little unsure up there with the weather. But we do wish we were able to see more wildlife, and we didn't see a whole lot of wildlife, and that's one of the big reasons we went up there, was to see a lot of wildlife, and we didn't really catch much. So that was a little disappointing, and if we could do it over, we would have left earlier, gotten up there, and hopefully seen more stuff.
Yeah. Like we said earlier, our trip is a little bit different because we are going from like Alaska climate all the way to like Central America climate and south more. So really, to do the northern part of this trip justice and feel comfortable and spend a lot of time there, we really should have packed a little bit more warm weather gear, rain gear, bug protection, and just be prepared for that part of the trip. And we also wish that we had a cover to go over our tent, because a couple times we had to figure out different accommodations because there were storms. But if we had a tent that was equipped for rainy weather camping, we would have been able to camp a little bit more, which we both really wish we could have.
Okay, here's the one bonus tip. And it's actually like a couple little tips smushed into one. This is motorcycle specific, so I'm gonna go through it really quick for you, things to consider if you haven't already. The first one being, make sure you have chain maintenance kits. Something to clean your chain with, and something, and know how to tighten your chain, because when you're up there, whether you're going by yourself or you're going two up and you have gear or whatever, you're gonna be going over a lot of terrain and it's going to loosen your chain up, and you're going to want to be able to tighten that because you don't want it to have any sort of wear or damage that's going to leave you stranded somewhere where you don't want to be stranded. Which leads me to number 2 about getting stranded. Know how to fix a flat. Didn't happen to us, but know how to fix a flat. Bring tubes or a puncture kit and a mini compressor that you can plug into your bike and pump up your tires. Worst case scenario, getting you to a town to get it taken care of, because you really don't want that to happen. And some of the rocks up there are really sharp. Like I said, we didn't get a flat tire, but it's certainly a thing that can happen. The next thing, which is another quality of life that we wish we would have upgraded to, is a soft pannier system. We were using hard panniers, and there was a point where we set the bike still while we were going to take some pictures, and I wasn't thinking about it, and I left the bike in neutral, and it was on a slight incline, and it rolled forward and fell over. Pew. And the pannier on the left side broke. So we had to have it like tied up until we could get a new pannier system, and we went with the Giant Loop soft pannier bags, which have been amazing as an upgrade. So I highly recommend checking out getting a soft pannier system, because you can just fit more stuff and you don't have to worry about it breaking off in case you do go over. Final 2 tips instead of the one big bonus tip is, if you're going to be camping, keep an eye out for motorcycle parks. These are camping parks specifically for people on motorcycles, and they are awesome. I will try and find the ones that we stayed at and leave a link in the description below. Also, always wear your gear. I know this probably goes without saying, but if you don't have good gear, like I'm talking like calf high ADV boots, or you don't have any sort of like pants or a jacket or something like that, please consider getting it, because it's not the place you want to go down. And when you're going down the Alaskan Highway at like 70, 80, 100 miles an hour, if you hit a pothole or if you hit an animal, it's not good. So please wear your gear, very important. Safety first. Safety first. That is it for the 5 things we think you should know, 3 things we wish we would have done differently, and then the one massive bonus tip. I'm gonna leave links in the description to all the videos that we made that pertain to this video in the description below, as well as any useful information that I think of afterwards that might be good for you. Of course, if you like this video, please give it a like. Check out the channel, subscribe, see our other stuff. If you have any comments about going to Alaska or Canada, places you've been, things that you think should have been on this list that weren't, please leave a comment. So, heck yeah. Yeah, and after this, we're headed towards Texas. Oh. Yeah, which is kind of like a roundabout way, but we're headed to Texas before we drop into Mexico. So keep an eye out for more videos like that to come. Yeah. All right, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Much love. Bye. Peace.